Panther Nation, what's good with y'all? Can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me okay out there? We live. Let me just check. I had to go back to my old platform, so it may be, looks like we live. Yeah, it looks like we live. What's good with y'all, man? Let me get a mic check, make sure everything's sounding good. We're going to have to test some things here just to make sure everything is looking good. What's up, Carson? What's going on, brother? Important day here. Important day. We got to see what Fitterer has to say. What's good? What's good, Southern Chef? What's good? Panthers Rhule. What's good, Adrian? Saki. What's good? Panther Nation. What's good? Alex. What's good? What's good? What's good with y'all? Yeah, what's good? Let's just test some things out. Hector, what's up, man? I just got to make sure that this works because I had to go back to my old platform instead of using StreamYard because StreamYard muted my mic when the other audio was playing. So just bear with me while we get this set up. Bear with me. We're gonna do a test run real quick. Y'all just let me know if y'all can hear this. Let me know if y'all can hear this okay.
At Harris Teeter, home gating is
Can
all
y'all hear
about
that?
the food. Delicious subs and wraps, fresh hot store-made pizza, ready-to-serve wing trays, and lots more. Plus, with Harris Teeter's fuel points, you can earn free fuel with every purchase, up to $1 off per gallon. Harris Teeter, the official grocery store of the Carolina Panthers.
Can everybody hear that okay? Okay, that's good.
Scott, I
That's
want to
good.
be one of the first to
That's
officially
good.
welcome.
Thank you guys. So whenever the stream comes live, we will come back to this. It's not live yet, but a couple interesting things I'm looking to hear from Scott. This is a big day for Panther Nation. Kind of, I'm the type of guy like I really like to. I like the front office stuff. I really like the off season, like the drafts. So this is a big day, man. I mean, there's some fans that don't really pay attention to this kind of stuff and don't understand some of the moves that are being made. But yeah, so this is the kind of stuff I like. This kind of stuff I enjoy personally. So as soon as it becomes live, I will go live on the press conference. It's not there yet, but it's interesting, man. He already did some speaking. David Tepper did some speaking about the hire, but hopefully we'll get some more direction as to where the franchise is going to go. I've already read some things that I like. I've read a couple interviews that he's done. Tepper, it's really interesting. Some of Tepper's comments about kind of the hiring process. Really, the one thing you may don't agree with some of the things that Tepper has said or has done over the past couple years. But the thing about Tepper is he's very self-aware, right? He's very self-aware of the mistakes he's made. He's admitted to some mistakes he's made in the past. And he's self-aware. He understands that the fans, maybe he watches the show. I don't know, maybe, but he knows what the fans think, and he is very aware that what the fans think and what they're saying about him. And I think he's conscious of that. So he admitted to it in that little interview he had with Kristen the other day. Yesterday, it was posted to Panthers.com on Twitter yesterday. He admitted to it that that through this process of hiring Scott, that he admitted that he was learning along the way, bro. He was learning along the way. Every time he spoke to another potential candidate, he was learning. Like, he was learning about what he wanted. So anytime he would speak to a candidate, he probably picked a couple things from that, picked the brain from a couple guys and said, hey, this is what I want in another guy. Does this guy have it? And so I think by the time he got to Scott, he really knew. Maybe Scott had an unfair advantage of going last, but Scott really knew what he wanted by the time he got to Scott Fitterer. And I think the biggest thing, and this is what I've been saying about the hiring process, is that I really think that he understood that Scott knows how to work with a coach that wants 53-man roster control. And that was the biggest thing. That he understood, that he knew that Scott Fitterer had an understanding of a coach working with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has 53-man roster control, or say in the roster anyway. And so I think he's all on board with the collaborative effort that Tepper wanted. You know what I'm saying? So Tepper wanted that collaborative effort, and I think that's what Scott, maybe the other GMs didn't kind of have that experience of working with a guy that had 53-man roster control. So But he should be talking. Fitz should be talking at 11:30. He should be going live at 11:30. I'll keep double checking when this thing goes live. The before and after poll. I don't have a poll set up, but we'll see. We'll see what happens as to what he's gonna say. Obviously, I think there's an article out there where he's speaking to what he wants and what he's gonna build. His his first priority is going to be the quarterback. So he talks about the quarterback. He talks about fixing the trenches. So he's speaking my language. But hopefully we all can listen to this live and kind of understand exactly where he wants to be, and hopefully he'll be able to kind of voice that. And hopefully there's some guys that ask some tough questions. Listen, they won't give a dude like me credentials because I'm asking all tough questions. They won't give me credentials because I'll be all up in his ass. Pause. Asking the tough questions. So make sure y'all hit that like button. Shout out to Grandizer. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Listen, we on the road to 4,000 subscribers. Maybe we'll get to 40,000 one day. But hopefully we'll get to 4,000 before the draft. Going to have a huge draft party. And listen, just sneak peek for all y'all watching. Hopefully soon after the press conference, you guys go and tune right into my next Alabama live reaction film. Who can anyone guess who it is? Can anyone guess who the film reaction video is going to be at 12 o'clock dropping? Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess who it's going to be? I ain't got no prize to give away, but I think it's interesting. Who's the next member of the Alabama Crimson Tide that I'll be dropping at 12 o'clock? Deontay Brown? Nope, it's not Deontay Brown. Not Josh Joby? Nope. Leatherwood? Nope. Let's see some more guesses in here. Saban. That's funny. Maybe I should do one on Saban. Not Barrymore. It's not Barrymore. I see a couple y'all got it. It's Mac Jones. Yes, Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the next member of the Alabama Crimson Tide that I have decided to do a film reaction to. I might do Barrymore tomorrow. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't decided. Sean Wade plays for Ohio State. He doesn't play for Alabama. Yep, but it's Mac Jones. Mac Jones is dropping at 12 o'clock. So hopefully you go straight from this video to the film reaction video. Let's see if I can catch this on. I'm gonna try to either catch it on YouTube or on. Oh, here we go. We'll just wait for it here. You guys don't have to. I mean, I'm gonna be live streaming it here, so you guys don't have to go and watch somewhere else. You can. This is your choice if you want to. But I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and just react to a couple things he says. Hopefully, you guys will be able to hear it. Perfect. Okay, y'all got the music. Y'all can hear that music, right? Let me know if y'all can hear that okay. Yeah, okay. It's the Hail to the Panthers song now. Alright, I'm just gonna not pause. I didn't mean to pause. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit until they get started. I'll leave that as my background music. As my background music, my epic intro. Sounds like I'm a superhero about to come out the tunnel. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, Dave is at work, I think. Yeah, so it's just based on what I'm seeing from Scott that they are not sold on quarterback. And listen, let's just be real. They're not sold on Teddy Bridgewater, and Teddy Bridgewater's contract is says he's not the guy, right? I know I've been a proponent of wanting to see him succeed. He's not doing that, and that's okay. But his contract is as such that he is not the guy, and he's not paid to be the guy. It's only a 2-year deal. We can essentially get out the deal after next season and be just fine. So we're in good shape. We are in good shape. Teddy Bridgewater's just the I guess the bridge if y'all wanna go that way. What's my thoughts on Deshaun Watson trade? Should we trade Shaq and 2-round picks? I would do that in a heartbeat to get Deshaun Watson. Listen, I'm all for not reaching for guys, but in the draft. But listen, Deshaun Watson is a proven entity. We know what Deshaun Watson is, and I don't mind going after proven assets. Here's the thing. So I think that if you're done right, you can trade back to get multiple assets in the first round, or not in the first round. Excuse me. You can trade back, get multiple draft assets to help you build a team. I think Shaq Thompson is linebacker is not as valuable position as quarterback. Quarterback is the most valuable position in the league. So you need a quarterback. And so we don't have that guy right now. And I listen. I'm a fan of Teddy. I like Teddy. And listen, he struggled last year. And he's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be that guy. So it's all good. It's cool. Would I trade KK and Teddy with the? Yeah, I would do it. I would do that. All right, here we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Panthers team reporter Kristen Balboni. We appreciate you joining us today as the Panthers officially welcome new general manager Scott Fitterer. Scott is here in the building today. He got to Charlotte a little bit earlier this week. You're going to be hearing from him very shortly. As many of you know, Scott joins us by way of Seattle. Prior to joining the Panthers, he had been with the Seahawks since 2001, and most recently served as the team's vice president of football operations. We are excited to have Scott here and excited to get this all started. Just so you know, you will be hearing first from Panthers owner David Tepper, followed by Scott, and then both Dave and Scott will take questions from the media after that. Couple of quick reminders for the media members who will be asking questions later. We ask that you use the raise hand function. We also ask that you turn your camera on so both Scott and Dave can see who they're talking to. And finally, for the best viewing experience, we recommend that you pin the Panthers feed. All right, now that all of that's out of the way, it is time to get started. And for that, I will pass it over to Panthers owner David Tepper.
Here we go.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm good, Tep.
So
Appreciate you
I just
asking.
want to introduce Scott, but just before I do that, I'll just talk a little bit about the process we went through. And we basically talked to 13 outside people and 2 inside people. Pretty exhaustive search. When we settled on Scott, it was there's a few different reasons why. One was just the breadth of experience and how he matched up.
Agreed.
He had basically was in the draft room with Schneider and Carroll, had, exposure to agents, very knowledgeable about the salary cap, involved with analytics, and just generally speaking, working for a college coach and some of the things that brings with you, the development that Carroll's had with some of his players, having to, deal with later round, later picks. Also, just the way the structure there in Seattle was sort of a flat structure, something we're trying to do in Carolina, a little bit more open information running between the departments on all sides, inside the building. So where he came from and what he's done there, it was just such a great match and idea for us. Just the personality of the individual also, really well regarded as an evaluator out there. Inside the building in Seattle, sort of the person that was described as a calming force between Schneider and Carroll, who could get emotional sometimes, the guy that calmed down the room, so to speak.
Facts.
But as I said, more than that, just coming from where he came from and dealing with the Carroll and the coach out there and the type of structure that we want to improve on, that was probably the main reasons for the choice. With that, I don't know if Scott's on. Let's
go,
phone
Scott.
here.
Come on, Scott. Come
he
through.
wants to say hello and introduce himself.
There we go. Looking clean up there.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here, even though it's virtually. I look forward to meeting all of you in person once we get the opportunity. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here.
I like that
and
pin
to be
he
named
got.
general manager of the Carolina Panthers.
I need
What a
that.
great opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you. First off, I want to thank Dave and Nicole Tepper for this amazing opportunity. Mr. Tepper, from the moment we first spoke on the phone to meeting in person, I felt your energy, your commitment, your passion to creating a championship caliber organization. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this process, to work in collaboration with Coach Rhule. I also want to thank Coach Rhule. Just getting to know him over the past 2 weeks on the phone, talking every day, getting to know him. It's been an unbelievable experience. I really look forward to working with him. It's going to be a great opportunity. And then to Stephen Drummond for all of
Shout
his
out to
sage
Steve, man.
advice and
Steve is dope.
his smooth style about him. I want to thank him. It really helped during the interview process.
Steve Drummond is dope.
And to the entire Panthers organization, to the personnel department, to the coaches, to the football ops, all the way to the business side. I look forward to working side by side with all of you. This is an exciting time. It's going to take all of us to come together, work together to build a championship caliber organization that we can win with over a sustained period of time. I want to thank the entire Seahawks organization. I spent 20 years there.
It's
Just
a long time.
20 amazing years with great people, just great experience, learned a lot. First-class organization, top to bottom, tons of leadership.
So what you trying
I
to
can't
say?
say
We
enough
second
about
class?
them, and thank you. I
trying to say we
specifically
second
want to
class,
thank John Schneider, who's been a great friend, a great mentor, a great boss, someone that I've laughed with daily. I really enjoyed his experience, and I wouldn't be here without you. I also want to thank Coach Carroll, Chuck Arnold, Peter McLaughlin, and the entire Allen family for the opportunity I had in Seattle. I also want to thank just a few people in that organization. Trent Kirshner, who should be a general manager right now. Nolan Teasley, Matt Berry, Matt Thomas, Willie Schneider, and Sarah, thank you. I also want to thank my guy, Kirk Parrish. He's been there with me the entire time. Thank you.
Well, bring him with you.
And then I want to go to my parents. I want to thank them. They've been just such a great influence in my life. They've done everything for me. They've supported me, driven me everywhere. They've always been there. I can't say enough to them. I love you. Thank you. To my sisters,
All right, come
my
on.
two
man.
older sisters who put
You
up
ain't
with me
getting
in
a
all the
Grammy, bro.
sports,
Relax.
thank you. And to my sister Lisa, when I was, 6, 7 years old, I'd sit in front of the TV, and she would say, or she would complain to my mom, "Hey, what's
This
Scott
dude
gonna
talking
do
like he
when
getting a
he's in
Grammy,
college?
Grammy, bro.
Watches
Like,
football all
it's
day.
not an Oscar,
How's
man.
he ever gonna
Come on,
make a
bro.
life for himself?" Well, Lisa, here we are. So it's been good. I also want to thank, most importantly, my wife and my kids. Cherish, you've been the rock. You've done so much for us. You're selfless. Thank you for everything you do. To Ella and Cole, you guys are a real blessing to me. I thank you. I love you. I can't wait for you guys to get
I
down
feel 'em.
here and be a part of the Charlotte
Hey, I
community.
feel him on this, bro. Anytime I talk about the kids, you getting emotional, man. I doubt that. I feel him on that.
Jerry Shea, Marv Sunderland, Scott, and Ted. Appreciate all you guys have done for me. This past week and a half has been a real whirlwind. I got a call from Mr. Tepper last Sunday, and we had a brief conversation on the phone. And like I said, you could feel the energy and the commitment right away. And I knew there was something special. We had a Zoom interview on Monday morning, and it was intense. It was not a lot of football at that point. It was more about the cap, analytics, and he really pushed me to my limits to figure out what I knew and what I didn't know.
He
And it was
nervous.
a really
He is
intense
nervous as hell.
conversation.
That's okay, though.
Really thought-provoking, a lot of probing questions, and I really enjoyed it. And then I hung up, and I wasn't sure how it went. As you sit back and you think, what happened there? And I had a phone call, a plane ticket a few hours later. I was on a flight the next morning. I got to Charlotte, met with Coach Rhule, met with David Tepper and
Dude
Steven.
don't got an upper lip, though.
I tell you
It's
what,
kinda
once I
bothering
met
me.
with them in person, it just took off. The information flow, the philosophies, the change of ideas, where we wanted to go, the growth that we wanted to take place, yet combined old school football with that really resonated with me. And a 3-hour conversation seemed like it was 15 minutes. And it just took off from there, and I was so excited when I left there. So Mr. Tepper called Thursday, took the job, and here we are. So really excited about that. Look forward to building a great organization here with in collaboration with Coach Rhule.
Let's get to the questions,
Really
man.
exciting time. We're going to make use of a lot of different technology to make smarter, more efficient decisions in the football process without losing our way in terms of football. So in conclusion, I just want to say, hey, listen, we're going to look for every competitive advantage we can find.
Marcus, you haven't missed nothing.
Whatever it
You ain't
is,
missed nothing
we're going
yet.
to take the information and make the most informed decision that's best for the Carolina Panthers organization. So I can't wait to get started. I want to get with Coach Rhule. I want to get with the coaching staff down here.
No, you haven't missed anything. All you missed was a Grammy acceptance speech. That's pretty much it.
We're looking for in football players and get with our personnel staff. We're going to meet down in Mobile. They're going to come up here in February, and we're going to get started on the process of keep building on the foundation that Coach
Senior
Rhule
Bowl's gonna be
started
big.
last season.
Senior Bowl is going to be huge.
So I just want to say, in conclusion, thank you all for being here. I respectfully request that we don't get to specifics of players today, but I
come
will
on, man.
Speak in general terms about the organization,
Bruh.
my relationship with Coach Rhule, and what we're going to do going forward.
They're going to ask you about Teddy,
Thank
bro.
you to everyone for being here.
You're going to have to answer a Teddy question. Call on me, bro.
So
Hey.
Scott and Dave will take questions now. As a reminder, please use that raise hand function and turn your video on. We're going to begin
video's
with Phil
on, bro.
Orban of WSOC.
Come on, man.
Hey Scott, Phil Orban from the ABC affiliate here. You mentioned that whirlwind interview process, and you said you didn't know how that first virtual interview went. I'm curious when you realized that it was going to be a good fit and everybody was kind of on the same page.
Well, immediately on the phone call on Sunday night, I thought it would be a good fit. The interview on Monday, the virtual interview, it's hard to get a feel for people over Zoom. It's just that dynamic is missing with the interaction of people. And there were a lot of tough questions. And like I said, it wasn't a whole lot of football. It was more about analytics and salary cap and different things that, are a little bit different to me. There's things that I know, but there are also
Analytics
things that
is
would
different
challenge
to him.
me.
Interesting.
And they came right after me. Like I said, I hung up. But once I met them in person on Wednesday, from almost like the first few minutes of meeting them, it just took off and it just felt right. And it was a great conversation.
Next, let's go to Darren Gant, Panthers.com.
And this is for Dave and Scott. Could you talk about the organizational structure and I guess the decision-making, how
Good
that's
question.
going to be divided up between Scott and
Pat
Matt?
Stewart. And Pat Stewart. Good question. Good question. Oh, you muted, Dave.
Dave, I think you're on mute.
I was going to say, this is, I think we're going to, as we had before, actually, pretty collaborative sort of effort between Scott and Matt. I think that, they will, be involved.
Sounds like he has no clue.
On
He has
all
no
these
idea,
different
bro.
Football decisions together. They're the primary ones making these decisions. There's some practicality of certain things that just the way it is to make things run smoother. Sort of the game day roster makes a little bit more sense for the coach to have a little bit more input. And
He has no
the overall
clue.
roster
He's
makes a
making
little
this
bit
up
more
as he
sense for the
goes.
GM generally have input into, just because the coach frankly doesn't have time for that as when you're in season. But I think the way we hope it is just a lot of collaboration and really, just run like that.
He has no clue what he's talking
As
about
I
right
said,
now.
I think you should think about, sort of it wasn't that much different here to begin with. And I think that you should look at, a little bit of what was here, a little bit of what was there, and a little bit of what will be better for both places in the future.
Hey, Tap just making, he's literally making things up as he goes.
No, I look forward to working with Coach Rhule in collaboration. I've never been in a draft room where anyone's ever said, hey, I have the 53, he has the 53. This is something we're going to do together, and we're going to make the best decision for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to work through this. We're going to challenge each other. We're going to study. And in the end, we're going to be combined in our decisions, and we're going to do what's best for the team.
We'll go to Elena Getzenberg of the Charlotte Observer for the next question.
Very good writer.
You're
Oh, we
muted.
can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. Nope. Nope. You just... Elena, get her out of here. There. Oh, no, there it
We'll
is.
come back to Elena. Let's go to Joe
was good.
Person, and we'll come back.
Hey, I have one for each of these guys.
Come on,
Dave,
Joe. Joe usually
starting
hit him
with
with the
you, if I
hard
could.
questions.
There were reports that you and Matt at various times during the process, maybe you
Bumped
were kind of
heads.
coming at it from looking for an analytical candidate, more so maybe than Matt, looking for a traditional guy with a scouting background. Was that the case? And then how did you arrive at Scott?
Good
That
question.
was not the case. I think we were looking for a person that had, all the different skills, if we were looking for one person. Scott is known as a really good evaluator out there. But what we were looking for together, and I don't think it was me looking for one thing or Matt, I think we're really joined in this. We're looking for things to
No,
make
you
us a
weren't.
stronger organization in total. So, whatever Matt's a really smart guy. I hate to say that, but he's a really smart guy. I mean, he is on some personal level. I'm just making a joke, but I think that there's some things that he hadn't had experience when he was in college, like the salary cap. And I think the exposure to more sort of
Little dig at Rhule
analytics,
there.
if you would say that here. Sort of a checks and balances, if you want to say that, would probably be a good thing. That's something that I think.
Which is
me
what
and
I
Matt
said.
together were,
That's what I
looking
said
for
here.
Somebody who wanted
Checks
to
and
embrace
balances.
that.
Somebody's gonna
somebody doesn't have
challenge
to
him.
be an expert, and they just have to embrace it and understand it. So I think that from that perspective, I don't think there was any space between me and Matt and looking for this sort of person. So it's just getting the person to make the organization as strong as possible. And that's what we think. And we had the actual advantage with Scott is that he just came from a very similar organization to what we'll probably be having in somewhere where the coach was a developer of talent, from the college ranks. So that was also an advantage in how he looked at people, looked for people and sort of things like that. I can't remember your second question, if it was.
No, I appreciate it. I was going to direct one towards Scott then. Just, Scott, I think I read yesterday with your interview with the team website that you didn't really know Matt before a week or two ago. I think you all share an agent. Wondered kind of how Trace may or may not have played a role, and just kind of any connections you had to Matt or anyone on his staff.
Okay, that was a dumb
Yeah,
question.
I really didn't know him personally, but I knew him professionally. We have a lot of people in common. I got a lot of good feedback across the NFL on how much people love him, how forward-thinking he is, how positive he is, what a developer of talent he is. So I was intrigued by that. Yes, we do share an agent, but that wasn't really a factor in that. Really, when it comes down to it, it was just the person. Like, once we talked, once we hit it off, we had a lot of the same philosophies, and we're developmental based. I believe in that, and I really look forward to working with him. I have no qualms.
So developmental base means they want to build through the
Let's try
draft,
going
right?
back to Elena Getzenberg.
Build through the draft, develop your talent. That's what that means. We can't hear you, Elena. Dag nabbit, bro.
We can't hear you
Okay.
unless you don't stop, Elena. We're done.
Still having those same issues. We'll go on to David Newton of ESPN.com for right now.
Yeah, Scott, welcome to Charlotte. Good to talk to you.
Here this man go. Here go a
and
stupid
talk
question.
to folks back in Seattle are connected with theirs. They all said that your mantra in Seattle was to be involved in every deal out there. And without mentioning a certain player's name, if you felt there was a quarterback in Houston that was on the trade blocks, would you be interested?
Well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. What I will tell you is we will be in on every deal. We're going to find out where things are going, what the landscape is in the
That's
NFL.
Good. That's
but
good.
Before we do anything outside, I need to figure out who's here. I need to figure out this roster. I need to figure out who's on our offensive line, who's on our defensive line. I know them from a 30,000-foot view, but I need to know them from a coach's standpoint. I need to know them from a personnel standpoint and meet these guys and see what they're made up of. So there's a lot of things we're going to be involved with going forward. We're going to be very aggressive in our acquisition process.
I like that.
But it starts with getting to know our team, and just being here for just a few days, I'm just starting that process.
I do like that
Next,
he said
we'll
we'll
go to Steve Reed of the
be in
Associated
on
Press.
everything. I like that. You got to do your due
Hey,
diligence.
Scott, welcome to
Got to get in the
Charlotte.
conversation.
I did want to ask you, there's a lot of interest, of course, from fans about particularly the quarterback situation. And
Here we
if
go.
you want to address particular names, that's fine. But I would just wonder if you could just discuss what you feel like you have right now with the quarterback situation and what future there might be.
Good sneaky question.
Again, I'm just starting
Sneaky
to learn
question.
the players
I like
on this
that.
team. I do believe in competition at all positions, and we're going to look to raise the level at all positions. We're never satisfied with our roster, so we're going to always look, and I know you're talking about quarterback position. That's something I believe in drafting every year or acquiring at some point, just philosophically. And so,
Drafting every year. I like that.
Overall, I'm really just need to get here first, figure out our players on our roster, and that's how we're going to go about it.
He wants to draft a quarterback every year.
Go to Scott Fowler from the
That's
from the
a
Charlotte
Patriots
Observer.
take. Good. That's good. I like that.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Can y'all hear me, by the way? It's not a Charlotte Observer jinx, is it?
No.
Okay, good. Scott, I was another 7-year-old who was watching TV and trying to figure out what to do, watching NFL games back then. But my question's actually for Dave. Dave, you've now got, I guess you would say, your guys in the building.
Here we go.
In terms at the very
Good
highest
question.
levels. And I wonder how significant that
Accountability
is to you,
right here. Accountability.
and how vested you are at this point with some really high level decision making.
I think, listen, it's really important to me. I think that, coming in here, and I said this before to you guys, some people criticized me for making changes initially. Some people criticized me when I thought I got rid of Rivera too early, or I moved on from Rivera too early. Really wanted to figure out what
just
was
got
the
rid of
best thing
Rivera
to do,
too
'cause I
early.
was,
Corrected himself on that.
Although I was around the Steelers for a lot of years, I wasn't as knowledgeable as I could be. So at this
Interesting.
point, I really do think that while people always hold me responsible before, and I never, hid from that, I think there's just a higher level of, these are the guys that I chose now. So
Facts.
there's no place to hide. I never hide anyways, but for sure there's no place now.
That's a fact.
So
Don't run from this
highly
heat, Dave.
confident in these two guys, and I'm, really excited to have them and then to move forward, move forward with them. I don't know if you asked a second question. I can't remember what it was.
Well, no, that's a great answer. You also referred to it, I think, in one of the Panthers.com interviews as sort of a three-way marriage in between you, Matt, and Scott. And I just wondered how collaborative, how involved, you plan to be, and is it mostly a 30,000-foot view for you, or would you be involved in, for instance, the quarterback decision?
Get out of it, Tepper.
Look, I get really, at this point, now that I have more experience, I get really, what's really important to me that the process that we go through is right. Okay, that we do the right analysis and research and background checking, and we're thorough in that. It's not just gut feels, and we do double checking. So I think that I'm more interested in that we have the right processes, if you want to call it that, the right analytical processes. When I say analytical, I don't mean analytics. I mean just research, doing the right background research and having the right tools to do that.
Get out of it,
And the right
Tepper.
processes when we're making some of these decisions than the decisions themselves. Listen, I'll never be close to the evaluator.
Good.
Scott is, or Matt Rhule is, for that matter, and I won't try to be that. But as I am somebody who has some idea of how things should be run.
You just
and
admitted you
that's what
had
I
no
think my
experience with the
greatest strength
Steelers.
will be and will get involved in.
Nah, you need to back out.
you.
Back out, bruh.
We'll go now to Jonathan Alexander of the Charlotte Observer.
Let these people you hire do their jobs.
Hey, Scott, I hope you're doing well. I think I saw
This dude
in one of
answered.
the
He asked some really good
interviews
questions.
that you wanted to take an aggressive approach to this roster, and I'm curious what that may look like if you have a vision for that.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot of transactions. We're gonna look at a lot of people, bring a lot of people in the building, churn the roster on the back end.
I like that.
Just really take a look at a lot of different people to see what's out there, what fits our team, and how we can build this going forward. You know, nothing's gonna be status quo. It's all about building and moving forward.
All right, let's go to
Political
Brett
answer
Jensen,
there.
WBT.
Political answer.
Thanks, guys. Two quick questions, one for Scott and one for Dave. Scott, first with you. What is your definition of a franchise quarterback? What does that
Good
look like
question.
to you?
Good question.
Someone that can lift the players around them. Someone that gives you an opportunity to win
That
when the
ain't
game's
Teddy.
on the line in the fourth quarter.
That ain't Teddy.
Someone that just has
He-
the leadership qualities
Yeah.
that when they walk in the building,
Yeah.
they know that's the person in charge. And those are the most
Hey.
important things. Then you get into the position specifics, the processing, the
Couple shots at Teddy
decision-making,
right there.
the intelligence, the arm strength, the accuracy. But really, when it comes down to it, it's the
Three.
leadership and being able to compete and win when the game's on the line.
And there was about 3 or 4 shots at Teddy right there. That's funny.
At the press conference, you said
That's
once
funny.
you and Steven left the house and were walking to the driveway, that you immediately knew that's the guy that you wanted. Did you know that immediately with Scott, or was there still some sifting through some people?
No, listen, I think that
That was funny.
when we had the
Good question too.
look, I did, talk to a lot of people and all these people. So this was like 2 weeks of my life, you know what I mean, with these people. There's a lot of people we talked to. We got a lot of information about a lot of different people, and a lot of different teams, actually. So it was really good for the organization to pick some of that stuff up.
See,
In Scott's
learning
case,
on the way.
when I talked to him on the phone. I talked to, other people around him, including Schneider. And we had that first interview. We had that first Zoom interview. He was, definitely strong enough to have him in for, that he was strong enough and had some of the aspects we were looking for, that he was somebody that should definitely have been in that Final Four for us. And by the way, there was a couple other folks that, maybe kind of pulled themselves out of there for different reasons.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of interesting. But
It's not interesting. It's not interesting at all,
Scott
Tepper.
was was that strong. That
He's
he
naive.
was in that mix, and for all the reasons I talked to you about before.
He's naive.
All right, we'll go
Come
to
on.
Josh
You know
Klein
why
from
they
Riot
pulled out,
Report.
bro. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't play stupid, bro.
Hey, Scott, welcome to Charlotte. I wanted to ask you about your drafting philosophy in Seattle. Obviously, there was a lot
question.
of trading down
Josh
in
is
the first
good.
round. Was that
Josh
a
is
franchise
good.
philosophy? Is that something you plan to bring to Carolina? And then I know that you indicated that you like to watch a lot of concerts on YouTube. Is that all Pearl Jam concerts, or do you like to do a mix of different bands?
Good
The
question.
concerts, we'll listen to just about everything, country, Pearl Jam, whatever it is. As long as it's a good concert, we'll watch it. As far as the draft
Scott?
philosophy, in Seattle, we've historically picked, mid-20s, late 20s over the last 10 years. And when you look at the draft, when you build the board, there's a certain level of player that stops about 16, 17, or 18. So once we're picking at 25, we know we're not going to get those, what we consider players that are going to come in and be impact players. We don't see a big difference between 25 and 40 at that point. So we can
Interesting.
move back, acquire
Interesting.
picks, and still get the same caliber of player that fits our team.
That's true.
This year it's going to be a little bit different. We're picking at 8 this year, and so we're in that mix of players. So that
No
gives
trade
us the
back.
opportunity. We can move up, we can move back. It gives us a
Oh,
lot of
okay, never mind.
flexibility in the draft, and it'll be,
can
it'll
move
be a
up.
new adventure and one that
Interesting.
I'm looking forward to. But that's really, if you're not in that top part of the draft, we're going to try to acquire picks.
Got
Next,
it.
let's go to
So
Jonathan
if you're picking
Jones,
late,
CBS Sports.
then you're gonna trade back. But since
Hey,
we're
Scott,
at 8, you're gonna
thanks
got
for
flexibility to
doing
move up
this.
or
And
back.
to
Interesting.
Josh's
Interesting.
point, especially because it's been, 2012 since you had a pick in the top 15 or so. What are the clear separators for you when it comes to those blue chip type players in the top 10, top 15?
The guys that can come in and immediately start for you, make an impact, whether it's a defensive line, left tackle. Those are players that
Left
you
tackle,
see
left
coming in,
tackle.
contributing year one. Those are franchise players
Facts.
that you can build on going forward. And that's that ledge that I talk about that usually stops somewhere between 16 or 18.
Talk about it, Scott.
All All right, let's go to Nick Carboni of WCNC.
Good draft nuggets right here. Good draft nuggets for those that are paying attention.
You've had I guess a 3,000-mile view of this franchise for the last 20 years or so. What have you seen from the Carolina Panthers, and what do you want to bring here that maybe they haven't had before?
Well, what I've seen this year on tape is a team that really competes hard, plays hard, is physical. You can see Coach Rhule's identity in this team. You know, we played here a few years ago in a playoff game.
And got smacked.
I was on the trip
and got your ass smacked.
And you could feel the fan base. You could feel the energy of the team.
We whooped
They've always
your
had
ass.
a lot of talent here, a lot of success. And I'm just looking forward to be a part of this and build this going forward so we can have a consistent championship caliber team.
Consistent.
Next, we'll hear from Mike Solarte of Spectrum News.
Thanks very much. Scott, congratulations. Welcome to Carolina. You talked about analytics and draft philosophy. One of your predecessors, who shall remain nameless, was a big believer in drafting offensive linemen, the guys in the trenches.
Ooh, talk
Where
about
do you
it.
stack up your philosophies and things that you may have learned
David
from,
Gettleman. He was talking about David
Seattle,
Gettleman.
from your time in Seattle, and how you apply that in terms of building the roster overall?
Sure. Definitely, it starts with the quarterback, but I believe in building a team on both sides of the line, the offensive line, defensive line. You have to be able to protect the quarterback, and you have to be able to get after the quarterback. So
yes,
in this situation, those are
talk about
those
it,
are all
Scott.
things that we're going to look at. But at my core, quarterback, offensive line, defensive line is where it's going to start.
Bingo. Ding ding.
Right, let's
Good
go to
answer.
Ashley Mahoney of the Charlotte
Good
Post.
answer.
Scott, appreciate your time today and just making sure that everyone.
Oh.
All right, but Scott, you spoke to the difficulty of being able to get a feel for people over Zoom during this conversation. And obviously, this is an example of that in this virtual world that we seem to be stuck in for a little bit while longer. But as the process of getting to know players continues, what have you learned throughout the 2020 season that will make this more feasible heading forward in 2021 in terms of connecting with players and going through this hiring process?
Yeah, I think our coaching staff did a great job connecting with the players up there in Seattle over Zoom throughout the spring and summer, and it's kind of the new normal for right now. I just look forward to, when the players walk in the building here, and whether they're in the weight room, in the meeting rooms, wherever, walking around and meeting them. I think that you have to know who a person is and what they believe in and how they, what their competitive makeup is, in order to know if they're the right fit for this team. Everyone can see the physical skill set on tape, but really it comes down to who's the right person for our organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look forward to meeting all the players and figuring that out.
JB Ricks from Spectrum News is next.
Hey, thank you very much. This question is for our new general manager, Scotty. Scotty, thank you so much for taking out this time, and welcome to Carolina. My question goes back to your time in Seattle, how that relationship with Pete Carroll can be applied with the relationship that you're going to build with Matt.
Man, we already know the answer to that,
What
bro.
are the main positives you see in the chemistry you and Rhule will be able to build?
We already know the answer.
There are a lot of similarities that are taking place. Coach Carroll was hired first in Seattle. He was involved in the process of hiring John Schneider at that point.
That is interesting right there.
Watching them work together, Pete was in charge early on, but watching them work together, collaborate, the trust that was built, the fact there was no ego involved, and just the way they challenged each other and had a conversation. Those two, without really knowing each other prior to, developed a really deep relationship with each other, and to this day they really rely on each other. And that's what I look forward to with Coach Rhule. It's a very similar situation. It takes two people, no egos, and really just wanting to do what's best for the organization. And I'm blessed to have a firsthand look at that over the last 10 years, and I look forward to doing that here in Carolina.
Good answer.
All right, we're going to do two more questions. We're going to try to go back to Elena Getzenberg. She's
Bro,
on a new device.
fam.
Elena.
If she don't get it right this
Can
time.
you hear me?
There we
Is
go.
it working?
Yes.
Great. I'm so sorry about all that, Scott. Couple questions for you. First, what do you think is your biggest challenge, coming into this job? What do you feel like is the biggest obstacle that you have to overcome? And then, do you plan on bringing anyone from Seattle with you? Is there any changes you see to the personnel department?
Good question. Good question.
The biggest challenge is just coming in, getting to know the people. Walking down, I've met I don't know, 100 people already, it seems like, and shaking hands and just kind of putting the names with the faces. And then really I just want to get down and get to know the people, see how they work, how they evaluate. You know people from the road. I know a lot of the scouts from the road, a lot of the personnel guys. But until you're in a building with them or in a room with them evaluating players, you really don't know how they talk, how they think, how they look at players. So really the first step is getting to know our own staff. And then in terms of other things, everybody else is under contract. I want to know who's here. I think we should try to develop the people that are here and work with the people we know.
All right, final question from Joe Person of The Athletic.
Hit him, Joe. Pause.
Scott, you were talking about being in on every deal and trying to get to know the roster a little bit better before that. Have you had any communications yet with some of the sort of core leaders on the team? Thinking about
there you go.
Teddy Bridgewater, guys along those lines. And I wondered if you could give us your assessment of Teddy Bridgewater.
There you go. Good question,
Again, I'm not
Jeff.
going to talk about any player specifics.
Good question.
I did
Joe.
have a phone conversation with Jeremy Chin. We have a friend that's his agent. He reached out, and we had a really good conversation. I look forward to talking to the other players that are here, getting to know them. I'll reach out to Christian and some of the other leaders on this team. But
he didn't say
as of right
Teddy.
now, it's just all so new and so
No, he
much
didn't
is going
say Teddy.
on that I'm just trying to get settled. And I just want to get back to the football part of it. It's been so much
man.
HR and media, and I look forward
Teddy's
to getting
up outta
down
here,
to
bro.
Mobile and just getting back to football.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much to everyone who
All
joined
right.
us. Thank you to David Tepper, and a special thank you to Scott Fitterer, and welcome to Carolina. Just as a quick reminder, head coach Matt Rhule will be available right around 12:15. Media,
Okay.
you should have already received that link, but if you
I may
haven't,
stay
reach
live
out
for
to
that.
Panthers
I may
Team
stay
Out.
live for that.
All right, thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
I may stay live for that. All right. So we're gonna pause this real quick, or turn this down. We're gonna turn this down, and we're gonna talk about a few things. Hey, let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. So a couple interesting thoughts. Couple nuggets. The Teddy disrespect was sprinkled all through this mug. Okay. He took a shot talking. I guess when they asked him about the quarterback position, he took a couple shots saying that we need a quarterback that can win the close games, that is going to elevate the talent. There was a couple other shots sprinkled in there. So Teddy appears to be 1 foot. Teddy appears to be Dave. I'm not on that joint. I'm on Streamlabs. I'm on Streamlabs, not on StreamYard. So I can't send you the link because I'm not on that unless we do Zoom. Set up a Zoom, Dave, and then we'll do it from there. I'll try to do it from there. But a couple interesting notes was that a couple shots at Teddy, okay, which is rightfully so. I mean, Teddy did not play that well the close of the season. Appears to be, there appears to be all signs move towards Teddy not being a guy. Oh, clear, understood. Have no problems with it. All right. But what was interesting to me was that the draft discussions about trading back and forward, whatever. But Seattle typically traded back because they were picking late in the draft, and so to them, the picks 22 to 40 something were all the same. So they always tended to trade back and acquire more picks, which makes perfect sense. If your board is set up that way, why not trade back and get more picks? Okay. So why not do that? All right, that makes sense. Now he did mention pick 8. All right, so he said pick 8 gives us the flexibility to move forward or back in the draft. Very interesting. Now I think, and one other thing he said was that I think he said there's players on your board typically from 1 through 15 that are difference makers, right? Those are the guys that are going to come in. They're going to start day one, and they're going to be your guys, and they're usually acquired from pick 1 through 15. He talked about offensive linemen, defensive linemen. It starts in the trenches, which is music to my ears. Specifically, offensive linemen. I'm with the defensive linemen. I'm thinking more edge rusher than interior, but I get it. I get what he's saying. I think he mentioned linebackers too, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So the interesting thing about that is that even having that flexibility to move up or back with the pick 8 is that you can still move back to say pick 15, pick 14, pick 12, or whatever. Stay in that pick 1 through 15, get an impact player, and still acquire more picks. So that trade back does not appear to be off the table. From what I'm just trying to connect the dots here. I'm trying to connect the dots. So I could be, I could be reaching, but he also mentioned trade up. And there's a lot of talk about, even Tepper said, hey, we got to get a quarterback. It starts at the quarterback. We got to get our guy. Couple interesting notes that we hired. I think the dude from, I think it was Sean. I forgot his name. Somebody in the chat let me know. We hired our new quarterbacks coach is from is the Lions' old quarterbacks coach. He coached Matt Stafford. And he coached Deshaun Watson. So there's a connection there as far as the new quarterbacks coach that we have. So it's interesting. They keep Sean Ryan. Thank you, Sean Ryan, guys. Sean Ryan, I appreciate that. So there's interesting connections around guys that we could go out and get. Again, it's not the long-term answer, but you could tie yourself to a Matt Stafford, or you could tie yourself to a Deshaun Watson, who is more of a long-term fix. And he said, listen, we're going to be in on everything. So you're going to see our name. If there's listen, they did it with Dwayne Haskins. Our name was tied to Deshaun Watson. They're going to be in on everything. And I love that. At least do your due diligence. I don't know how many times we saw guys hit the market and it's like, yo, why didn't we even talk to this dude? Like, why would you not even have a conversation with him? See where it's at. And we offered. It was reported that we offered Dwayne Haskins a deal. He didn't take it with us. That's okay, fine. But you were in the discussion, bro. You were at least in the discussion, and that's what needs to happen. You need to be in on the discussion on these cats because you never know where it goes. And I love it. I love that, bro. I love it. I love that, man. So let me see if I can find this Matt Rhule press conference. I don't know if they're gonna do a live. I don't know if they're going to do a live. We'll see. It's going to be another press conference. I don't see anything. But I did like what I hear. I'm going to stay live for a couple more minutes just to make sure. But again, I love what I heard so far. Again, this is some of the things that appreciate that, King David, man. That's what I'm here for. Provide this great content for y'all. Again, we're elevating this. Everybody that's here in attendance, we are elevating our fandom right now. We're upgrading from casual fan to a real fan. All right, you're separating yourself. You're getting into the weeds of how things work on the back end. So we're a step ahead. If you're attending this live stream, you're a step ahead. So. But yeah, listen, I really like what I saw. I like what I heard. Again, he's reiterated several times. Offensive line, defensive line. The game is won and lost in the trenches, bro. It's just a fact. Cornerback is valuable as well. I didn't hear much about the cornerback. But the thing about the cornerback is that they've hit late. If you go to Seattle's drafts, they never drafted high. They always hit late on their cornerbacks. And I think what's going to happen with the cornerback position, they're going to draft guys that have the tool set, right? The 6'2" guys, the 6'2" fast guys that aren't quite as highly touted. Maybe not. Maybe we won't get a Patrick Surtain. Maybe we won't get a Caleb Farley. But we'll get a dude like maybe like a Tyson Campbell or maybe something like that and elevate them and develop them into what we want. I think that's key too. That is very key. Oh, they're saying Rhule is live? Hold on, let me check. Let me go to Panthers.com. All right. Where is he live? Where is he live, y'all? Because I'm not seeing it. Is it on Twitter? Or is it on YouTube? YouTube? All right, I'm going. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right, I got it. Here we go.
Yes, I think. Yes, I think.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
I had that experience this past year. I think we're going to work really collaboratively and work together.
I know he's low, but I can't do nothing about that.
Let's go to Scott Fowler.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good, Scott. How are you?
Good. You've been on both sides of these very exhaustive interviews now. I guess, it was a year ago that you were going through what Scott went through. And now that you're on, this side of it, and I wondered if you could describe a little bit how David Tepper is in those interviews. I assume you did some of these at least together, and I'm just interested in how, his questioning. Scott described it on his call as, it was very challenging, I guess is the word he used. So how did that go?
Yeah, so, I think we did like 15 Zoom calls, 14 or 15 Zoom calls.
He don't even know.
In fact, at one point I had someone say to me, someone in the business say, hey, and a lot of people are kind of making fun of you guys for doing that, but, I thought it was brilliant. I'll be honest with you, Scott. I thought like for a first-year NFL head coach, for a, third-year NFL owner, to be able to talk to 15 people, 2 in-house, and then 13 other organizations about how they do everything. I mean,
yeah. That means they're learning on the fly.
So
they're learning on the fly.
Just mining it, but we were listening to all these people talk about how they do things, and it really shines a light on what we're doing and what we're not doing. So I thought
they're learning. That's called learning on the fly.
Search, and I think that needs to be said about, because you're asking about Mr. Tepper. I think that needs to be said. His stamina for this is impressive. I think the questions I would say is just Mr. Tepper is really direct. He asks direct questions. But he asked them about like really serious topics as we kind of went through this, as we learned more, as we looked at our own organization. That's kind of set the framework of, hey, how are we gonna handle this moving forward? How are we gonna handle that moving forward? And then as we, kind of got into more and more interviews, as other things came up, we could address that with other people. So I thought Mr. Tepper was an elite part of the process. And I'd say it because, while he's not a football coach,
he's rambling, bro.
Evaluator, like he makes decisions day in and day out in his business. And the one thing he always says to me is, I don't care if I don't want to make mistakes, but if we make mistakes, we're going to make them in football, but we have to have the right processes, the right decision making. And so I think that was a big part of this process was, hey, how are you going to make decisions? How did you make this decision? How will you make this decision? So I think we did the 14 or 15 virtually. Then we brought 4 people in. Met with 4 people in person. There were probably countless other phone calls and questions. None of that, but those are the official things. I thought he was really, really, really a big, help.
Let's go to David Newton for the next question.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. What did you learn about other organizations in that process that can be helpful you'd like to maybe use with your own? I have 2 questions, by the way.
Yeah, just a ton of things. How some organizations, like, people always talk about analytics, right? Some organizations they're intertwined and streamlined. Some organizations they're not used, and some organizations, how everyone works together. Some how they're very hierarchical, so how just the amount of people you have working in your personnel department. How some organizations are growing their scouts up, from young assistants.
This is something we pointed out a long time ago about how our front office is way behind.
And not everything will apply to us, but
we talked about that.
Kind of hear, how people make decisions about,
they could just hire me, bro. I could have been had this fixed.
You pretty much heard everyone say, hey, I believe in building the offense, the quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, offensive line, defensive line. I don't know if you heard someone who said something else other than that.
Oh my goodness, fam!
So,
really?
A lot of those kind of things. Just
seriously.
How would you organize this? What's your grading scale? Because really, at the end of the day, Scott's coming in and he's installing, right? He's not coming in and saying, "Hey, how do you guys want to do this?" He's not, he's coming in and installing a system. And so, the questions were really about, "Hey, what's the system going to look like?" And then it felt like the right one for us, and he certainly felt like the right person for us.
And the second question is, one of the things you probably learned about Seattle, maybe not, was they want to be in on every deal. I think that's what they kind of did during the years that Scott was there, and he mentioned that again today regarding what's he going to do moving forward. Certain quarterback you guys have been connected to, maybe if it becomes available in Houston. Are you wanting to be in on every deal like that, and and is quarterback even part of that as well?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Of course
any
not.
Specific player. I think when I took the job here, I think, our original plan here was to be much like Seattle was in the first couple of years, where they just kept bringing people in the bottom at half of the roster. And that's a very personnel-driven model. Most coaches don't like to do that. Most coaches don't like coaching someone for 3 weeks and then he's gone and another player's in there. I think, we were amongst the highest this year in terms of roster.
That's
use.
true. They did.
And
They did.
because, I said, hey, I think this is the way we should go about doing this.
It's a good idea though. I like that.
So I think we'll continue to have that approach.
I like that
It doesn't
approach.
need to Get on every deal. I think those are Scott's words. I don't know exactly what he means.
You know what he means.
In terms of
Don't
that,
don't play
I would
stupid,
just
bro.
say that each and every day we have to try to find a way to get better football wise, but also improve the roster.
Coach, that's called coach speak. He knows exactly what that means.
To the Arena League, to who we're going to draft at 8, whether we move up or move back or stay there. So I think it's just that mindset of never being, again, like a lot of coaches, they don't like the roster to change. They like to know what they have, and I think we're going to continue to try to churn.
And now we'll go to Joe Person for the next question.
Hey, Matt, among the other things,
I like Joe.
Scott
He be asking the
mentioned
tough questions, bro.
is the philosophy in Seattle on trading back being that
Here we go.
after
Juicy.
16 to 18,
16.
kind of what he called the ledge of top tier talent.
16 to 18. Keep that in mind.
40, they felt well out there that was pretty. Guys were all in that same group, so trading back became pretty appealing to them. Does that mesh with your feeling as well?
It better.
I think one of the things that Joe, that we looked at, over the last 5 to 7 years, I can't remember the exact number, was we're like 30th or 31st in terms of most picks. And so obviously, it's like anything else in life, the more players you draft,
The better
more
chance.
rate
Yep.
you're going to hit on.
It's true.
And so
Very true.
We went into last year's draft hoping to acquire picks. I think we went in with 8 because we had traded Kyle Allen for that 5th and used that 5th to go get Chin, which to me is a great move.
They
But,
packaged the 5th up to go get Chin. Yep.
I think the way you look at it is you see where you're sitting, you see, who's there, you see if there's someone you're really convicted on, you see how many people else are there, then you see how far you're willing to move back. That being said, I think the best thing we can do is always look at all of our options. If we're convicted on someone, stay where we are, move up. But if
PC
there's an
answer.
opportunity to move back and still get someone we really want, when Scott talked about that made a ton of sense, and I think it's something that I would be in agreement with. I just think every decision kind of won't be in a vacuum. It'll just
That's
be,
true.
What's right on this one? What's
That's
right on
smart.
this one, what's right on this
Absolutely.
one, and,
Absolutely
that's
agree
why
with that.
I wanted to have someone come in, personnel-wise, who has experience with all that, who's been through all these things, who can pick up the phone and talk to every general manager.
Yep. So yeah, that's the thing. We typically don't.
Scott really checks the boxes on those.
We typically don't
Now,
trade
also,
back.
in terms of staff, does it look
Especially
like
in the first.
At this point now, you're going to retain Joe Brady, and then are you able to say anything?
Good
about
question.
your hire?
Really good question, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know that those hires are official. I don't know if Bruce is on here. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything.
Good question.
Oh, yeah,
I am here. No, I am here, and not official yet, so we can't comment on them yet. Sorry about that.
I'll just say this, Joe. As we went to, any moves that were made, and I was really happy. Let me just say this: I'm really happy for Jake Peets, really happy for DJ Mangus, really happy for Marcus Satterfield. Those are guys I wanted back. But I'm not going to be the type of person that prevents someone from having a chance to go take care of their family and also
Right.
have a chance to call plays in the SEC is a big deal. Satterfield's like my one of my right hand guys, and but a chance to call plays in the SEC, he's going to do a great job, and so will Jake. But that being said, as we've looked to replace those guys, we've looked for people that are experts at their position, that we feel like can continue to add to the football. So hopefully, from a quarterback coach and an assistant offensive line coach, I think we found that. So when those are official, I can find them.
Brady?
You never know in this
Good.
business, right?
Press him.
I know
Press him.
Joe's
Press
been
him,
working
Joe.
Full steam ahead, getting ready for next week, getting ready for the Senior Bowl, and making sure all the scripts are done. So, one great thing about Joe is he's going to be every year that he coaches. I think
Give me a second. I might could do closed caption. Give me a second.
Better and better at what he does, and so I'm excited to have a chance to have him back next year. I think no one can ever understand how hard that was for Joe last year trying to install a system for the first time over Zoom. New coaches and not like he came in with his own coaches, right? New coaches and new players. So I really look forward to this year seeing what Joe started to build really bear fruit. So if it works out, I'm really excited to have that.
Let's go to Josh Klein for the next question, followed by Elena Getzenberg.
And make sure you hit that like button, man.
Matt, Scott talked a little bit about being excited to kind of be done with the HR and the media part and get into football.
Yeah, captions are unavailable. I can't do it.
Senior Bowl. Are you excited to kind of stand next to him on the sideline or 6 feet apart from him or whatever and look at guys and actually get to talk football and see exactly how it seems like your philosophies mesh, but maybe your specific football philosophies mesh? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Josh. And I think it's the perfect timing because we're coaching the game. Like we'll probably meet every night. I don't know, 5, 6, 7, even if we have to meet at midnight. And, our scouts and our coaches will get in a room and we'll watch the practice. And not very often do you have a chance to get coaches and scouts together and sit there and watch tape and have the coaches talk about, hey, I like this, I don't like that, because that's really all this is. I mean,
he ain't really saying that,
Fitterer
man.
Wants to bring us players that we can coach. At the same time, he also wants to. I'm assuming he's going to want to challenge us. Like, hey, I think this guy's better than this guy.
Yeah, you need to be challenged. Bringing in all your Baylor folk.
Scott, with Jeff Morrow, with Jeff Bether, with all the guys in our personnel department. Watch the tape, go through the players, and really just kind of. It's great for me sometimes just to hear what Pat Meyer's looking for in a guard. Like I know what I like, but hey, Pat, let's talk about this. And so I think it's timed out really well. We really wanted to do the Senior Bowl. We worked hard to get the game. And I know there's, to make sure that the game, we wanted the game to happen and for our coaches to have a chance to coach it. I think it's going to be really valuable for us.
Hey, Matt, a couple questions. First, I was just curious, during the process, all these GM interviews, all of that, was there anything that surprised you that maybe you weren't expecting from the process that you kind of took away from it?
It's a great question. It's such a unique thing, right? Because this is someone you're working hand in hand with. Like the future of the football is determined by this relationship, this marriage, as Mr. Tepper calls it, and you're kind of doing it over Zoom, So it was real. That part of it was unique. I think the fact we got to bring.
Dude ain't saying nothing, man. Somebody asked him about Teddy.
Me.
I got a question, Matt.
There's a lot of really bright minds, a lot of really great candidates out there, and it's really interesting to see how many different teams are doing things. Some teams are doing things one way, some teams are doing it a completely other way, and so I just think it puts into perspective that, just let's not copy anybody else. Let's find the right way to do things ourselves. Let's do it the Panthers way, and I think Scott's
it's the Panther way,
not
the Panthers way.
So I think that would be the one thing maybe that came.
And then I was curious, when you talked to us about what you were looking for in a GM, you used, Dave's used this, everyone's used the word collaborative a lot. But I was curious, now that Scott's in place, what does that look like? Like, how does building that relationship look? What are the next steps for you and Scott?
Yeah, I want someone that I can argue with. I want someone that I can disagree with.
Okay, now you just talking,
why
bro.
Why are we playing so and so at free safety, or why aren't we? And I want someone I can say, well, why aren't we? That's.
Why should a general manager be the one telling you where dudes need to play? That's your job.
Collaborative doesn't mean hey, you do your thing.
Your job is to find out where the guys need to play. You're supposed to tell the GM what you want. That's stupid.
And that's unique with someone you don't have a relationship with. But I just think, just hearing where Scott's from, the Pete Carroll, the John Schneider, the kind of all the way back to Ron Wolf, the way they work together so much, just knowing who he is from talking to other people that have worked with him and for him. I had a unique perspective, Elena, that as a college coach for 7 years, I had different teams coming in. I had different scouts coming in, different people coming in. One of the directors in Seattle was my favorite guy. So he's one of the first guys I called, hey, bro, give me the truth now. And but that's what collaborative means. It means to me that I don't have the time to do this, and he doesn't have the time to coach the team. But we need to push each other, work together, and have, we have to be the closest of close to make this thing be great.
And then just to follow up on that, where do you go from here? Like, what's next? Do you guys sit down, look over the roster? Like, what are like the physical?
Good question.
The Senior Bowl is coming out, but like, do you need to sit down with him and go over things? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the coaches and the pro scouts, everyone wrote up the roster really well, even before he was hired. So I know he can take that book and go get started on that. I think we'll meet next week, and I think we have to really dive into the Senior Bowl, while at the same time probably still having some conversations. Then when we get back, you start to look at our team's free agency, other teams' free agency.
Somebody need to give this dude Taylor Moton the contract ASAP.
And really, I know Scott will kind of set a schedule, but I think next week is going to be a great time for us just to kind of have a chance to sit down and just get on the same page, just even in terms of, hey, what's next?
Guys, looks like we have a few left, so let's go to Josh Graham, followed by Jonathan.
He tired, man. He ready to get off this daggone meeting. It's a lot of questions, man.
Quick thanks, Coach. The understanding we had, at least from the outside, is that he interviewed, after you guys had already interviewed 10 or 11 candidates, Scott, last Monday. And then really quickly, you guys got a sense this is somebody we need to talk to again. How quickly did you know, yeah, this is somebody we're vibing with, this is somebody that we need to talk to and seriously consider?
And I don't want that, I think it was just a process. We kind of had the first couple names. We kind of got started as we kept, Mr. Tepper was really researching this and talking to people and getting more names. So that's why we kept just, hey, it's worth talking to him. It's worth talking to him. We saw an interview with Scott from the NFL that they had done, and then we talked to him on the Zoom, and I could tell within about probably 5 or 10 minutes that he was someone that was going to be really, 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 really alive in the search. I could tell he kind of checked the boxes that Mr. Tepper was looking for. Understanding, the salary cap, understanding the business side, understanding analytics, he just kind of understood all the things that, we want to be. So it became pretty clear. And there were some other really strong candidates. So it just kind of became clear, hey, let's move on to the next phase, which is in person, and get people here and just, see who we best connect with.
And I'm sure you already have done a lot of homework on the roster you're going to be coaching next week. I'm sure you watched the national championship game as well. What was your reaction to learning that
Mac Jones? Speaking of Mac Jones, just dropped the reaction video to him.
Yeah,
so go peep that after this is over.
Fired up. I mean, it's funny. I have such unique relationships with the Senior Bowl players. Like, there's 2 kids I recruited to Temple are playing in the game. Mac Jones, I actually called Mac when he was committed to Alabama. I think they had 2 quarterbacks committed and tried to convince him to come to Baylor. And
shot a sneak attack.
So I'm excited to have a chance to work with all those guys, and it was, I really enjoyed the experience last year, and it's a game that I've been to in the past as a college coach, just to see some of my guys in. So now to have a chance to coach it, I think it'll give all of us, to me, it's an opportunity for us to really do 3 things. It's an opportunity for us to get some information to help us in the scouting process. It's a chance for us to work with those players and help them improve their own scouting process, which I think is important. And then for our staff and personnel staff, it's a chance for us to go improve on our craft, what we do, coaching and evaluating. So it's a great week.
Hey, Matt, the NFL combines look a lot different, in-person workouts. I'm wondering, from your perspective, where do you think it may hurt coaching staffs around the league and teams when evaluating players? Where do you think it may hurt most?
Not having the combine?
Yes.
I think probably that and I don't know what'll be in its stead. I don't know what the alternative's going to be. I mean, to me,
NFL has no clue what they're going to do with the combine or how they're going to do it.
The in-person interview part. I know we'll be able to do some things over Zoom and all that, but all of us know, right? Like, getting around someone, talking with them, is really, really important. I think that was the most important part of the combine to me was not just the interviews you actually get, the formal interviews, but informal interviews, grabbing guys, talking to guys. I got in the elevator with a couple players who were drafted real high last year, just seeing, how they treat people, how they do things, right? Like, I knew from the first time and this was at the Senior Bowl, I met with Derek Brown. I knew that he was someone I'd love to coach. And so I think that's a really key part of the process, that personal part that, we're maybe not getting.
Let's go to Nick Carboni for the final question.
Here we go. Last
Hey,
question.
Matt, Scott obviously has,
This joint has been trash.
doing a lot of different things
Where's the
there
juicy
in
questions
Seattle,
at?
especially the last handful of years. What are you kind of most looking forward to him helping you with as he gets started here right away that maybe, you weren't used to or didn't feel like you were able to do a thorough enough job on last year that he brings right away?
I mean, I think it's the pieces of this that like are not anything that I am versed in, right? I think it's the value you put on players, right? This is a very economic league. Everyone thinks this is like, I mean, it's not. I mean, and I'm a coach, and I thought I would know this better, but it's not Madden, right? You don't get to just get all
Yeah,
players
we've been trying to tell you that.
Like, you have to pay for the roster the way you want it. So it's all about finances to me. It's all about values you put on players. And so, like, even as we enter our own players for agency, we have lots of good players we'd love to have back. So I think having someone like Scott, along with Samir, who's in the office, to not to come up with a long-term strategy of, hey, we can do this, as we keep our own players. I think that's really, really vital. And that's not something, that's not something I'm involved in, but I'm something that I'm counting on those guys, to have great plan, great strategy. So those are the things I think that most vitally, what do we have with our players and what will we have moving forward?
All right, guys, that's going to do it. We appreciate everyone joining. Coach, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
All right, so that's gonna do it for him. And that was really nothing. That was pretty much a waste of time. We didn't get anything from that. So that being said, man, I gotta get out of here because I gotta get my daughter set up for testing. Real quick, couple the thoughts to kind of finish this thing out, man. I think we're on the right path. Scott Fitterer said some things I like, and hopefully, I think Tepper is still kind of winging it as far as the organization goes. They're winging it. They don't have a lot of things in place right now. And I think they had all those interviews to help out with the structure, to kind of figure out how they're going to do it, kind of pick the brains of other teams to see how other teams are doing it. Again, I think it's still we're on the right path. I think the Senior Bowl is huge for us because, listen, we're going to get the in-person, the in-person coaching and in-person scouting at the Senior Bowl. Other teams won't have that. There's no combine. So we're going to be at a competitive advantage. We're already at a competitive advantage just because Matt Rhule said he already used to recruit some of these guys, so he has an idea kind of what these dudes are about. So I think we're on the right path. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this draft goes. I think I'm going to do a mock draft video a little bit later to kind of simulate what he was just mentioning. So just stay tuned to that. I'll drop that a little bit later. And go check out that Mac Jones video, man. Make sure you make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 4,000 subscribers. I think we're like 200 people away. We should be able to get that pretty quick. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. That being said, I'm out.